right, hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Opsmaker here. Listen, today we're going to do part 2 of our bomber series. Last video we talked about the B-52. So if you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. It's actually incredible what that aircraft can do. But today we're going to change gears a little bit, literally, because this is going to be a supersonic bomber, and we're going to talk about the B1B Lancer, also known as the Bone. Now, if you're wondering why are we talking bombers, why are we not talking sit reps? Like I mentioned before, I am in Israel for 2.5 weeks, and I didn't want to leave you guys high and dry while I was gone. And this is a great opportunity for us to kind of learn about some of the aircraft that we see from time to time. You don't see these very often. Same thing with the B-2. But yeah, it's good to know and have a little bit of knowledge on aircraft as we talk about them, and especially as we start to get into a war, because these are definitely going to become front and center of your news headlines in the coming months for sure. All right, so let's get on with it. Now, today we're talking the B-1 Lancer. It's a swept wing bomber aircraft, a lot like the F-14 Tomcat. Faster it goes, the further back those wings sweep, right? But it's intended for a high-speed, low-altitude, what they would call penetration missions. Its first flight was in December of 1974, but by June 1977, the program was canceled. 4 Rockwell International B-1As were built and used for flight testing, with the final flight made in April of 1981. Now, in October, President Ronald Reagan actually revived the program as the B-1B, and its first flight was October 1984, and this aircraft could actually operate at 60,000 feet and had a range of more than 7,000 miles. Now, the U.S. Air Force ordered 100 B-1Bs in 1982, and the first B-1B aircraft was delivered to the Air Force Base at Edwards Air Force Base, California. In October 1984, just 33 months after contract go-ahead, the last B-1B rolled out of final assembly in Palmdale, California on January 20th, 1988. Okay. Now, initial delivery went to SAC, which was known then as Strategic Air Command, and that took place in June of 1985. They took them to Dyess Air Force Base, Texas, and then on October 1st, 1986, the B-1B achieved initial operational capability, also known as IOC, which is part of any aircraft program. And then by November 1986, the B-1Bs were coming off the production line at a rate of 4 a month. Now, B-1Bs were based primarily at Dyess and Ellsworth Air Force Base, but they also went to McConnell, Robbins, and Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho. In 2001, the Air Force decided to retire 33 of these bad dudes and remove the aircraft from Mountain Home in Georgia and Kansas Air National Guard bases. The remaining aircraft consolidated at Dyess in Texas and Ellsworth Air Force Base up in the Dakotas. Okay, so this is kind of the interesting thing. The B-1B actually holds 61 world records for speed, payload, and distance. The National Aeronautical Association recognized the B-1B for completing one of the 10 most memorable record flights in 1994. The first combat use of the B-1B was in December 1998 during Operation Desert Fox, where the aircraft penetrated Iraqi air defenses to destroy Republican Guard barracks. This debut mission validated the B-1's conventional role and its ability to operate in a force package. In 1999, 6 B-1Bs were deployed to Royal Air Force Base in Fairford, England, to support Operation Allied Force in Kosovo. This is the same base that we see everything piling up today, supporting all the efforts in Ukraine. Now, let's get into the specifics. The crew on this one is actually a 4-man crew. You have an aircraft commander, or the captain, as you'd call it in the commercial industry, the pilot, which is a co-pilot, an offensive systems officer, and a defensive system officer. Much like the B-52, it is set up very similar in nature, where you've got 2 flying forward and 2 kind of in the back. Now, the length of this thing is 146 feet. Wingspan is 137 feet. Now, of course, that's not swept. If you look at the swept side of it in terms of distance across, it's only 79 feet, so I think it's pretty narrow. Height, got some long, sexy legs on it. It's 34 feet tall. And the wing area, if you just look at it in square foot, is about 1,950 square feet. If you were just to look at it and compare it to maybe a house footprint, right, in terms of width and size on a lot. Okay. All right. Empty weight, this thing weighs about 192,000 pounds. Gross weight is going to be 326,000 pounds. Max takeoff weight is 477,000 pounds. Now, if you talk about the power plant on this thing has 4 GE F101 and GE 102 afterburning turbofan engines. And they conduct about, let's see, what is the thrust? Each dry is 70,000 pounds of thrust. That's pretty incredible with afterburner. So just regular thrust per pound is 17,390. So got a little giddy up to it. Now, the max speed on this thing's pretty impressive. It's 830 miles an hour at 40,000. All right, so let's talk performance since we're talking about engines. The max speed on this bad dude is 830 miles per hour, and that's at 40,000 feet. So that's a pretty good altitude and a pretty clean burn right there. That max speed in Mach would be 1.25 Mach. Okay. Range is 5,100 nautical miles with a weapon payload of 37,000 pounds. Max range, 6,500 nautical miles. And the combat range is around 2,993 nautical miles. And the service ceiling, which pretty much is the cap, is 60,000 feet. That's pretty high. Way up there above commercial traffic, okay? Rate of climb is 5,678 feet per minute. That's a pretty good, impressive climb. And so armament-wise, it has 6 external hardpoints for ordnance with the capability of 50,000 pounds with provisions to carry a combination of a multitude of other weapons. Well, again, we will be seeing this aircraft along with the B-52 and guaranteed the B-2 in action here in the coming months as the world looks to be going hot. And so I hope you got a little bit out of that as from an educational standpoint. I know I threw a lot of data at you, but again, it's just part of our U.S. Air Force fleet. They're the only customers that fly this today and ever, really. And, you know, it's just something that we need to all be kind of knowledgeable of with our own capabilities. It's like I said, quite impressive. So that's it. Listen, we'll see you guys soon for the next video, which is going to be on the B-2 bomber. That's a cool one. Talk soon. God bless. Monkey out.